to my channel, folks. This is Jeff. It's good to have you here today. We are on Tuesday, July the 26th, and we have a bunch of birthdays.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Wow, so many birthdays today. I had to write them all down. If you remember yesterday, we only had a couple that I really cared about. So let's get on to it. I mean, that's a huge list. Birthdays, let's go back all the way back to 1727. Horatio Gates, general of the Continental Army, and he won the Battle of Saratoga in 1777. I understand by reading about him, and I once again will put all this stuff down in the comment section, that he actually lost that big battle too, and they sort of relieved him of his duty. That was, I guess it was probably George Washington that may have done that. At least I'm suspecting it was. George Bernard Shaw in 1856, Irish playwright. He wrote Pygmalion, which was adapted later to be My Fair Lady, and a lot of you probably like My Fair Lady. Well, you may not have known that came from Pygmalion, which George Bernard Shaw wrote. Carl Jung, famous psychiatrist who founded analytic psychology, was born in 1875. Aldous Huxley, 1894. He's an author, Brave New World, about a dystopian future. That is a really, really interesting book. A lot of fun to read, but really sad. So it's, and I hope we don't end up in that kind of world. Stanley Kubrick, 1928, film director. If you don't know who Stanley Kubrick is, you haven't been watching movies. I'm talking 2001, Space Odyssey, Dr. Strangelove, Full Metal Jacket, one of my favorite movies. Got some great lines in that one. A Clockwork Orange, another dystopian type of film, and also I guess it originated as a book. If it did, leave me a comment. Let me know if you read that book. Eyes Wide Shut, and The Shining.
Here's Johnny.
How about that one? And if you've not read any Stephen King, you're sort of missing out there. The Shining, and as I said, 2001, A Space Odyssey, probably his best-known work, although arguably Dr. Strangelove. A lot of people really love that one as well. Mick Jagger is the icon of rock and roll. There was a time when it was the Beatles versus the Rolling Stones. Which one was your favorite back in the 60s and the 70s, and which one do you think added the most to rock and roll? Leave me a comment and let me know which one you're more of a fan of, whether or not that's the Beatles or it's the Rolling Stones. I can't even begin to tell you how many hit records the Rolling Stones had, and Mick Jagger was an instrumental part of that. Moving on, Dorothy Hamill by the way, Mick Jagger was 1943. Dorothy Hamill, 1956, the figure skater who won Olympic gold in 1976. And that was a very interesting year for the Olympics. Look that up and figure that out, and you'll find out why. Kevin Spacey in 1959. Now, I thought Kevin Spacey was one of the best actors. I've seen him do a lot of mimicking. The guy can sound like anyone. It was sad when I found out about his sexual assault charges. He was born in 1959, famous actor for House of Cards, which my wife and I really enjoyed that show. But every movie he's been in, I just thought he was just over the top, fantastic. Sandra Bullock was born in 1964. Of course, she did Speed and over 50 other movies. So Sandra Bullock's been in quite a lot of stuff. Jason Statham's one of my favorite actors. 1967, he was born on this day. Of course, The Transporter, one of his famous movies. But he's been in so many, and he just always plays this really tough guy. So that's how many birthdays that I noted that were very interesting, and there were, of course, a lot more, but those I thought were very, very interesting. Let's talk about history. Ed Gein, you know who that is? Have you ever heard of the movie Psycho or the movie The Texas Chainsaw Massacre? Those characters were based on Ed Gein. Ed Gein, the actual living person. He died on this day in 1984 at 77 of lung cancer. Just to give you a little clue just how evil this guy was. He's the serial killer who used human body parts to make furniture. Ew, boy. For years, Ed Gein holed up inside his dilapidated home in Plainfield, Wisconsin as he carefully skinned and dismembered his victims in order to fashion everything from a chair to a bodysuit. Like, how much money you got to save, you know? I really can't afford that new furniture down there at Walker Furniture in Las Vegas. But I can go out and I can skin a few people and I can end up with a really nice chair. Or how about that lamp instead of Lamps Plus? Oh my God, this guy was sick. When police entered his Plainfield, Wisconsin, sorry Wisconsin, home in November, by the way, that was not in Texas, and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre never actually happened. I had a buddy of mine years ago who drove past this town. He said, I believe that's the road that leads off to where that Texas Chainsaw Massacre happened. It never happened. It was all based on Ed Gein. So, as I said, they entered his Plainfield, Wisconsin home in November of 1957. Following the disappearance of a local woman, they walked straight into a house of horrors. Horrors. We talked about that the other day. Do you say horror or do you say horrors? I say horror. House of horrors. And maybe that's just my Virginia upbringing. Not only did they find the woman they were looking for dead, decapitated, and hung from her ankles, but they also found a number of shocking grisly objects crafted by Ed Gein. Police found skulls, they found human organs, and gruesome pieces of furniture like lampshades made of human faces, and chairs upholstered with human skin. Gein's goal, as he later explained to police, was to create a skin suit to quasi-resurrect his dead mother, with whom he'd been obsessed for years. There you go, that goes back to the movie Psycho and a few other movies you're probably familiar with, all about the, yes, there's something about some of these guys' mothers. I guess they just didn't have a very nice childhood.
It rubs the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again.
Yes, you will, precious. You will get the hole.
Let's just say that. Anyway, this guy's kind of sick. Let's just deposit that over there in the trash. Hey, I made it. All right, very good. So today, I want to take you way back, and I'm going to do a song for you that I actually finished writing yesterday. And this is based on some of the poetry and a little bit of a tune I was trying to put together back in the early 80s. And I will tell you that the song sounds like it's about two people, but it's not. It's really about what I was going through at the time. I had just been kicked out of my first rock and roll band I had ever gotten hired into, and I felt as though my musical career was going downhill. I didn't think it was going to go anywhere. I had signed up, I think at the time, to go work at the shipyard and move on with my life. And I was losing my dream. And many of us who go into the music industry at some point realize, well, we're probably not going to make it. I had that reality sit in just about that time. Look, you know, I guess I'm just not good enough. And I almost gave up. I almost completely gave up. I decided to go out and start doing talent shows. At the time, they were called gong shows. Back in the 70s, the talent shows, they were gong shows. We didn't have karaoke back then. So you had to find places that had bands, and I went to the County Line, which was, I believe, a Holiday Inn back on Military Highway in the Norfolk area. Now remember, I have not been to Norfolk since probably 10 or 15 years now. I went back once. I moved from there when I was 37, and now I'm 60. So I might not even be able to find this place, but it was on Military Highway. I do remember that. So all you folks back there from Chesapeake, Norfolk, and all that area, you'll know what I'm talking about. At the County Line, there was a band called the Heavy Cowboys. Rick Stanley and the Heavy Cowboys, I think was the name of Donnie Ulysses, and I've mentioned her before. She was one of the first entertainers to actually record on one of my songs, a song called I'm Going Home, which I hope to do for you one day. I went to the County Line, I signed up, I got there early, and I lost. But I learned what it would take to win, and I went back the next week and I won first place. Before it was all over with, I think I'd won about 100 or so talent shows because they started popping up all over the place. They were very popular to have on a Sunday night or an off night for a club. But you had to go in and do a song with the band, or you had to have a song so simple or that you could teach it to the band, or they could just follow the chord charts, or you just perform by yourself. Now, what I learned was anytime you get your guitar and perform by yourself, you could never win. You were never able to be able to get the crowd going like you could with the band. And I learned to be an entertainer back then. But it was thanks to my good friend Nate Sparks, who had a band called Blind Justice, gave me my start and also fired me. And legitimately, I needed to be fired. I wasn't pulling my weight, and I thought it was over with. So what I did was I started writing songs. I started getting better at guitar. I learned to play a little bit more piano. I am still not good at any of those things, and I still don't have a hit song at 60. But I ended up starting off by writing some poetry. And I just added some music and I came up with some stuff. I finished this yesterday, so I don't even know if I'll be able to get through it, but you will get the gist of it. Let me grab my coffee first. So I don't know the key, and so I'm using my keyboard here, and I'm just going to raise this up because I want the song to be light and airy. Something like how's that sound? I was not so young last night when you took my hand and squeezed it tight. Said you'd always loved me and you'd help me see it through. But loving you was all I cared. With you my heart and soul I'd share. And when I felt your tender hand, I knew you'd understand. But then last night I woke from dreams and realized the strangest things. That you weren't real, began to cry. Then I realized we were in a movie scene. I was 22, you were 19. And the role we played had come to end. No scene for hearts to mend. Now we're losing love. Every day we hold on to these dreams, my love. But it don't seem we'll see these dreams come true, my love. Perhaps there's no such things as dreams. Now poets tell of wishing wells, where lovers dance and no one tells. And everyone is 10 years old, and no one cares to leave. But poets scar reality with someone's love. Sincerity is not to scar or leave to shame, and is our love to blame? Now we're losing love. Every day hold on to these dreams, my love. But it don't seem we'll see these dreams come true, my love. Perhaps there's no such things as dreams. Now the time has come and gone. We had that dance, we sang that song. And you'll meet that prince someday. This dream will melt away. Someday I hope you'll sleep to dream holds no one above you, still holds on to that dream. So yeah, I wrote that yesterday. At least I finished writing it yesterday. And I don't know what direction it's going to take. I don't even know if I want to add any more instruments in it other than a piano. Maybe I'll just do it on guitar. When I write a song, it takes me a little while to sort of figure out what direction I need to go with it. I think it would just be prettiest just to have just a single vocalist. It could be a girl, it could be a guy, and just a single instrument. But I want to keep it light and airy. Now, as we go through the words of that song, it sounds like it's two lovers that are splitting apart, and one lover hopes that the other will, remember them and maybe come back one day. But that's not at all what the song is about. As I go through the words, I was not so young last night when you took my hand and squeezed it tight. What I'm talking about was I wasn't so young when I started my career that I wouldn't be able to appreciate exactly what a career in music was going to do for me. And secondly, said you'd always love me, you'd always see me through. Hey, my music was there for me when nobody else wasn't. When I was younger, I never have been a good-looking guy. I've always been a really overweight guy. I used to weigh over 400 pounds. And of course, I was picked on unmercifully all the time for being overweight. Kids can be cruel. And I hadn't very many friends. I had a couple of good close friends early on, but not a whole lot of them. So it was music that I was hoping would see me through. Next line, for loving you is all I cared, with you my heart and soul I'd share, and when I felt your tender hand I knew you'd understand. I knew that music could actually pull me through. But then last night I woke from dreams and realized the strangest things, that you weren't real, began to cry. Then I realized that's when I lost my job with the band and realized maybe music was going to let me down. We were in a movie scene. I was 22 and you were 19. I don't know if I was 22, 21, 20, exactly what the age was, but I thought 22 sounded like a good age, and it adds that alliteration aspect to it. I was 22 to ta-ta-ta-ta going along. 19 I got from Hey 19, which was a favorite song of mine at the time. I was a big Steely Dan fan, and so I wanted to add that in there. And so when he gets to the chorus, and now we're losing love, every day we hold on to these dreams, my love. But it don't seem we'll see these dreams come true, my love. Perhaps there's no such thing as dreams. And so this was kind of a depressing point in my life. And I hope you enjoyed this song. This is, again, brand new. You're the first people actually hearing me perform this song. I haven't even done this for my wife. She saw the words last night, but you're it. So I'm wearing another one of my cruising hats, New Zealand, when we went to New Zealand. And so I thought I'd leave you with something about cruising or ships or something. So let me say, there are good ships. We were on a good ship here. There are wood ships. There are ships that sail the sea, but the best ships are friendships. And may yours always be with me. Have a good day.